Hold up, you mad at your car drivers for what now? Bruh, if I had a table, I would put you on it too. Because
I beg your pardon?
this episode Backseat Driver had me feeling some kind of way. For starters, let's talk about the fact that Dexter is not built for the your car business. This man don't have no chargers, no water, no convo, if desired.
Major deduction.
At least he's learning the city though. But that driver rating is gonna be low because he thought that 3.5 was good. And then he pulled up to Blessing's house and said, I have a 4.2 rating. And he said, 2? He popped out that house so fast. He said, don't you drive not a nary other mile until I can help you solve this terrible situation. And in the middle of that conversation, Dexter had to run into his apartment real quick because he got a phone call. It was for Dr. Patrick Bateman. And he was like, I got my shipment of that juice so I can put that imposter down. Dexter's so busy setting up shop. Meanwhile, his son Harrison is out here just getting questioned by the police and everything. He sounds nervous, and Detective Wallace can tell. He doesn't seem to be that good at lying because she's rapid fire with these questions, and he's not that good on his feet. She was like, so what do you get for him? So you got him the weed. Did you get anything else for him? Because he drugged this woman. Did you get that for him as well? And he gave her a nervous laugh talking about, no, I wouldn't do nothing like that. And she was like, what did y'all do when you dropped him off at the room? He said, I went downstairs in the service elevator. That was pretty good. But where he messed up is he said, I went home. And she was like, well, where's that? And then he flipped on it and was like, oh, actually, I went to a bar. I'm under 21. I'm not really supposed to do that. And I met this girl and she was like, well, what's her name? And he's like, oh, I don't really remember her name or whatever. We didn't really exchange names like that. And she said, well, you better because we need an alibi. And he was like, am I a suspect? I mean, without an alibi, yes. My issue with Harrison is that he always looks guilty regardless if he is or not. He just seems like he's always into something. I blame Dexter for a lot that's going on in his life because he should have a place to live at least. Because one thing about Dexter, he don't have a problem finding somewhere to stay. This man is staying over here with Blessing's family, just eating up all the good food. Just look at him over here holding hands, saying grace and stuff. He does need some prayer though, I ain't gonna hold you. I say a little prayer for you. He's definitely standing in the need of prayer. They treating Dexter just like family because they're at the table just talking about all their business. Blessing was upset because he didn't want his daughter to move to California with her boyfriend. I mean, that is quite the journey away from New York, though. And when I say they treating Dexter like family, they are still treating him like family because they're going to be in his business, too. Because Constance, Blessing's wife, was like, now, Dexter, why did you leave Miami? Turns out Dexter ain't the only one investigating. She had to know who she was dealing with. She said, hey, he had a 10-year gap in his history. Dexter was in shock, but he did answer the question. Blessing told Constance to chill out. He was like, Dexter, we'll talk about your car situation tomorrow. I'll get you to the best rated your car in the city. And then Blessing's daughter was like, well, shoot, you just gushing all over this man's your car business. I wish you would have felt this way about my business. And Blessing said, Dexter, do you know that you are sitting next to the best acupuncturist in the world? And he gave her this hug. It was so much joy at that table. I said, they are such a loving family. Meanwhile, Dexter is like, man, I wonder what Harrison would have felt like if he had a dad like that. He could have a dad like that, but you being selfish. Heifer. And Dexter was like, man, I got to retire to my apartment. And they were like, no, dessert. He said, hey, I'm going to get you on the rain check for that one. But he did ask Constance for a copy of that background check so he could actually use that place that she used for him against the dark passenger. So he went downstairs and did a little research, found the addy that he needed. Do we got a question where he's going next? Let's go. Now, you know he's heading over to Ronnie's house. He watched him leave, and he's still good with the B&E, even with the modern technology. So once he gets inside of the apartment, I recognize that this is the apartment that Charlie was in on episode 1. I thought this was Keith's apartment. Apparently, it was Red's apartment. So what was the purpose of us seeing Keith? Was it to set the stage to say that these are all killers and, they had to get a new roster because they had to get rid of the old ones? I don't know. We'll find out. So while Dexter's looking around in Red's apartment, he finds his weapon of choice in the ceiling as well as his trophies. And then he calls his company to figure out where Ronnie will be and the time that he plans on being there so he can give him a ride, which is pretty smooth. I give Dex his props for that. So back in Miami, you got Angel just chilling with his drink. He's sipping on that brown and he gets a call from Sheriff Teddy in Iron Lake. And he says, hey, I got a ping on that truck from Dexter. So this made Angel sit up in his seat. He was like, now where is it? And he said, New York. He said, oh, New York, baby. He said, ooh, can I get some more details? Give me some names and such. So now Angel knows where to go. Now back at the Blessing house, you got Dexter being taught the nuances to being a great your car driver. The rider's needs vary from time to time and you need to step it up. So Blessing had a whole baby bodega that he was showing them. He said, now listen, the people might need to drink. They might need the condoms. They might need breath mints. You got to be ready for whatever their needs are. Even told him to put this picture of this child that wasn't his on the dash for tips. And Dexter said, I lost all of my family photos in a fire. No matter what the situation is, Blessing gonna give you some feeling. And it's gonna be animated. So he had to get that brother a hug. He said, this is a tragedy. And he said, take this picture and put it on your dash though. But when he gave Dexter that hug, you could tell that Dexter was still tender from the bullet. And Blessing suggested that he wanted to talk to his daughter to get acupuncture since, she needs the hours anyway. So give her a shot. And Dexter was like, I'll try anything. See, with me, Dexter's not going to beat these charges of being lucky because he hit the jackpot with Blessing's family. Mama in there cooking, she whipping yams everywhere. Constance is a very astute businesswoman. She got that landlord game on lock, mind on her money, money on her mind. Blessing got the Urquhart game on lock. His daughter does acupuncture. Her boyfriend is going to college for a post-grad degree. I'm like, listen, they just own it. And they just adopted Dexter at this big age. So back over at 2300 Empire. The detectives might as well check into the hotel because they are back in Ryan's room trying to figure out how it all went down. And it seems like either Ryan had a change of heart after getting Shauna to the room, or they have a hero on their hands. So they know the murder was done in the bathroom, but they were like, where did the body get moved to for the dismemberment? So Detective Wallace decided to take a walk. And bruh, she definitely loves Staying Alive. I wonder if there's any other songs on this playlist because, girl, let me find out you just listening to the same song over and over. You should have a bodies playlist. Be like, let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Like, that could be hard. Anyway, she gets to the kitchen and all of her senses start tingling. And while they're in the kitchen, Harrison walks in and sees them scoping out the whole spot. And it's a good thing that they didn't see him because that man still looks guilty. One of the main things that's casting doubt on him being the sole suspect in this case is that the door is always open to the kitchen. And then that camera has pigeon poop all over it, so you couldn't even tell who was outside. So maybe some of Dexter's luck is rubbing off on him. And so Dexter's over at his own apartment getting a little acupuncture love and a word from Blessing's daughter. And after the treatment, he said he felt a little bit better. Now the Harry side of Dexter's mind is starting to win right now, because Dexter was still watching Harrison from afar and he was getting ready to walk up to talk to him while he saw him at this restaurant. But then Harrison's homegirl Elsa shows up. They clearly like each other in a different way. It's only a matter of time before somebody makes a move. Now Dexter thinks that Harrison does need someone, but it doesn't have to be him. Now, I know you're not trying to put all of this on Elsa because she can't help him in the way that you can help him. Dexter also makes a terrible assumption that the police are not really on to Harrison, which is why he's just walking around so freely. But sir, you're about to wait too long and find out that your son is actually the prime suspect in the case. So Harrison went over to Elsa's place, and because it got late, she said, hey, you can take the couch tonight. And he's probably glad because the block is so hot over at the hotel, he doesn't really want to be there. Now, it's cool that he has her in his life because you got to have people that care about you. But he should probably leave her alone because his dark passenger could ruin her life as well as her son's life. And you don't really want to do that. So I like that each episode we're actually learning more and more about this Charlie character. And she's prepping for that VIP dinner with distinguished guests. And that requires a great deal of discretion, according to what she was talking to with the assistant. So they're going to have a fancy, bougie kind of dinner with killers. That's interesting. They're trying to do a little orientation. Side note, I'm loving this cut on Uma. That's a very good look. And it's cool seeing her starting to set all this kind of stuff up. But you know where we got to go back to? The hotel, because the detectives done popped in on Harrison because they were upset that he did not share who his one night stand was with them. Harrison was like, it slipped my mind. And Detective Oliva was like, your alibi slipped your mind? And that is when they showed him more footage. They said, you dropped Ryan off at the room, but we didn't see you on the cameras again until 4 a.m. So what did you really do that night? And Harrison was trying to play it cool. He was like, what do you mean? And then they started applying more pressure. And Detective Wallace started giving him a play-by-play. She read him like a book, everything that he did. And they tried to be sympathetic with him. They said, listen, we understand that what you did was a good thing. You saved a young lady from being hard. And what we can do is make sure this gets pushed down to a justifiable homicide instead of first-degree murder, which is a lot for a person to process. But after hearing all that whole rundown, he calmly said, I have a confession. But it wasn't the confession that they thought they were going to get. He was like, I didn't leave because I'm actually staying at the hotel illegally. And I didn't want to tell you the truth about that because I didn't want to get anybody in trouble. And this is a story that he can actually have someone corroborate. It won't necessarily get him all the way out of the crosshairs, but it will definitely cast a lot of reasonable doubt on the story of him being the criminal. So that move from Harrison was on point. Speaking of on point, That acupuncture hit the spot for Dexter. He's feeling real good right now. And on top of that, Dr. Bateman's package came in, so he got that juice to let loose. And now he's ready to go hunting. And that's good for him. But meanwhile, the detectives are over here trying to hunt down information. So they interrogating Elsa, trying to figure out if they can corroborate Harrison's story. And she's telling the whole truth about him being unhoused and how she's setting up the rooms for him every night. She does have a reason to lie, though, because she's putting herself at risk, because it could all fall down for her if they tell her supervisor what she's been up to. Now listen, if somebody puts their job on the line like that for you, they really like you. So we head back down to Miami, and Angel's sitting at the bar, and he is eventually joined by two of Miami Metro's finest, Masuka and Quinn, and they find out that he's retiring. And when I hear that, I'm like, uh-oh. And they're trying to figure out what's happening, but he can't tell them just yet. He said it'll all make sense in the end. And this is how we know he's serious about catching Dexter, because this man is retiring, because he's going to have to go outside the bounds of the law in order to catch the Bay Harbor Butcher. Dexter better watch out. In more than one way, because he's waiting in his your car to pick up Jerry, aka Red, which, how many names does Ronald have? Because it's too many to keep up with. They called him Red, Ronald. Now he's Jerry. I guess that's his kill name. It's just a lot to keep up with. He worse than Dexter. Dexter was in the car messing around with one of those needles so he could get ready to stick Jerry. But then this woman named Katie popped up. Was like, hey, are you my your car? He was like, no, I'm here for Jerry. She's like, you sure? Because mine hadn't been here. It's supposed to have been here a while ago. He said, I'm telling you now. But he dropped his needle between the seat. And before he could get it off the floor, Jerry pops in the car. And it seemed like he was in a hurry because he was like, let's go. He was supposed to be going to JFK. But then they weren't in the car for too long before Red slid behind Dexter and just started telling him where he needed to go. And Dexter was like, well, I don't think that's the best way to get there, because I think you're supposed to do this route and this route. It'll get you there quicker. Next thing you know, Red slipped out that weapon and put it around Dexter's neck so fast. And what made it so funny is Dexter tried to pretend to be scared. He was like, I'm so scared. And the eye roll was hilarious. He might have pretended to be scared, but he was very prepared. Red told him to pull over in the parking lot, which was a bad choice on his part because Dexter was ready to fight him. He summoned the spirit of his old self to take over, and that was it. He started leaning forward so he could reach down to that floorboard and get that needle. And the guy was like, what are you doing? He said, I'm fighting back. And Dexter eventually grabbed the needle, and he also said, I'm taking back my name. And Red was like, what? Right before Dexter juiced his ass, and he was like, the fuck? He had not a clue what Dexter was talking about, but it doesn't matter now because he knocked out fast. And he met his match when he met Dexter, because Dexter thought of everything. He got on his Wu-Tang. My man was like, you got to protect your neck, kid. He borrowed a metal piece from Blessing. He was definitely sharp on this one. Dexter prepared a kill room at Red's own house, and he woke him up. Red had no clue who he was. He was like, who are you? Are you that person that broke into my house and gave me that invite and the money? He was like, you can have it back. Dexter was so confused. He said, I don't even know what you're talking about. And the guy was like, well, why are you here then? And Dexter replied, to make you pay for all those innocent people you killed. And Red said, you think these people are innocent? And then gave a whole sob story about how his dad offed himself because rideshare folks tanked his taxi driving business. Now I had to pause for a sec because
I beg your pardon?
So you telling me that because your dad decided to pull a blockbuster and failed to prepare for the coming of Redbox or Netflix, your car drivers had to suffer? You didn't even go after the CEOs of the company. You went after regular people. So you mean to tell me you did all of this, not because you were anti-immigrant, but because you were anti-Uber? Well, it's good that Dexter came here to lift your spirit from your body before it falls to hell. Because what? Now, I was wrong about the immigrant stance, but I was sort of correct about him feeling like the world had done him wrong and it left him behind in some kind of way. He felt like the loss of his father was the fault of the world, but everyone has to pivot at some point. And I originally thought that he attacked Dexter for a different reason than the others. I thought they stared each other down way too long when Dexter tried to block him from taking that other your car in episode 2. I felt like they got a good look at each other's faces, and that's probably why he assumed that Dexter was the one that broke into his house. But it doesn't matter now because Dexter went ahead and took him out. So after the ritual took place, Dexter went into Red's backpack, found the invitation and the money. And so he read over the invitation. So now Dexter is planning to hit up a dinner with some killers. And he takes Red's body to a part of town where cops won't even go. And I'm already feeling it right now. One day he's going to be trying to dump a body in that area and somebody's going to get to him. Because it's a reason why people don't go to that area. And back over at the Empire, Elsa is talking to Harrison about her chat that she had with the police. She was like, listen, I told him all this stuff, but I'm putting myself at risk for you. And he was like, you didn't have to do that. She said, I know. And then she walked away. And I'm like, Harrison, she's sending you a message. She letting you know that she's doing this out of love. Because if it wasn't, she wouldn't have told the police the truth. She would have just been thinking to herself, I think I better let him go. You would have been up that creek without a paddle. So Harrison feels really guilty about this. He can barely look at himself in the mirror. But you know who doesn't have a problem looking in the mirror? His daddy. He's literally about to burn Red's body. So while the body is burning in the furnace, Dexter goes back to read the rest of the invitation, in which he reads that you need a thumbprint for entry to this party. So he has to rush back to that furnace, pull out one of the arms, and retrieve a thumb. Lucky him, I guess, because it wasn't all burnt to a crisp. And that was pretty much the end of the episode. Now, I'm really impressed by these first 3 episodes. To be honest, Dexter's focus is way off. If he's there to help Harrison, he is failing miserably. Harrison is on his way to get locked up if he doesn't help him, because it's only a matter of time before Detective Wallace actually figures some stuff out. She's pretty good at her job. Dexter is the only person that can truly talk to Harrison with no judgment about this dark passenger situation and how to navigate it, but he's too busy trying to party with potential victims. Meanwhile, his son could turn himself in because he feels so guilty, or he could ruin his life or Elsa and her son's life for trying to be normal. And on top of that, Angel is still looking for Dexter, and Dexter's moving around like he doesn't know that Angel doesn't let stuff go so easily, especially because LaGuerta told him this information. That was his ace right there. So Dexter can play with that if he wants to, but that will be his downfall if he doesn't get it together. What do y'all think? Where do you think it's headed? Drop a comment down below. Drop me a like as well. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I drop new content. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.